Oh, gross. His mouth is buzzing. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna puke. Ugh. What? The first time you've seen a raccoon, huh? Yeah. Seen plenty of possum.
But I didn't saw bullet. They're sharp.
Well, no, you can't see the bullets. They go so fast, you can't see them. All right, so I'm not gonna lie. He definitely sat outside too long before I could skin him out. I'm still gonna go ahead and salt him down, skin him off. Skin him, wash him, salt him, and set him aside. And the maggots got to him really heavy. It's hard to get to stuff when you've got kids and you're always being like dragged away for stuff, and then you forget like how much time has passed. It's like you're in a twilight zone with kids sometimes. So I had planned on making raccoon stew out of him. No joke, I'm not joking. I've talked to several people that say raccoon is good. So I thought, hey, why not give it a try? That's kind of like the whole idea of the channel, right? I have not tried it, and if I'm gonna eat it, I'd rather cook it myself. So there are, in fact, baby maggots crawling all over him. I don't know if they're maggots or they're... No, I think they're just maggot eggs, which they're in the fur too, and I'm just gonna try and save it. So, I'm gonna hold the camera back. You can't see anything moving because they're just eggs. They should wash off, I'm thinking. I could probably brush them off too, but it takes a lot to really kind of get me queasy, and this is just kind of reminds me of turkey lurkey, but turkey lurkey. By the way, I did go through and delete off most of the turkey lurkey videos in case you're wondering whatever happened to turkey lurkey way back last year when I first started doing YouTube. And that was simply because I figured some stupid PETA person would come and complain that, oh my gosh, I shot my pet turkey, blah, 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 blah. Let's just let it die naturally. Anyhow, yeah, there's no smell right yet. I mean, it's dead chickens in the coop smell much worse than this guy, but it is a boy. It is a younger raccoon. I'm gonna guess maybe a year old. I think they're called a buck raccoon. That's what they call them. He doesn't have a very good rack. Alright, so I am grossly unprepared. I'm using a box cutter to skin him. I was gonna use a different type of box cutter, but I don't know, I've never skinned a small animal before, so this is kind of like a different sort of project for me. So, my apologies. Hopefully I'm not gonna be like my butt in the front of the camera. Oh, I'm gonna be freaked out. There's stuff crawling on me. So, first step is I'm gonna skin it along the legs, just like I would a deer. Again, I've never done this before, so I think my knife might be dull. There are literally maggot eggs all over. I was afraid he was still alive, you know? I mean, not like a chicken. A chicken, you chop the head off. The thing is dead. I'm gonna have to get a different knife. This thing is awful. This is really gross. I'm really half tempted to go like barehanded on this, just because it's a little more natural. Okay, so new knife, gloves on, let's go. Move my legs away from the maggots. Alright, so we're making two 45-degree cuts going down his legs. We're gonna do a circular cut around this area, slice them down, cut them out there, just like I would a deer. I know some of you fur traders like to do the sleeve method. I'm not too familiar with that, and I don't plan to sell my hide, so this is the best method for me.
Here it comes.
I know you're not supposed to do a lot of knifing on a hide, you're supposed to do more pulling, but I feel like I'm ripping more hair out by pulling. I'm not gonna lie, every little thing that like hits my skin I think is a maggot. It's trying to be mind over matter on this at this point. Oh, gross. His mouth is buzzing. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna puke. Ugh. Oh, that's so gross. Okay. Oh. Oh. Okay. Maybe I can, like, do his ears. Do you think I could try, like, flipping out his ears? I mean, he's not the nicest looking, but again, practice, right? Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, gonna throw up. Let's oh, gross. He's juicing. Okay. I don't know if I can do this. I might just have to get him behind his head. I kind of wanted to. Oh. I kind of wanted to skin him all ears and everything, but okay. I'm gonna have to like be a wuss and just like skip that and just get him like up behind his ears where his scruff is. Ugh. My knife is going dull on this freaking raccoon. This is a sharp knife. I guess I could do like what Chris Gillen does and just throw the whole dead thing in the freezer. If you haven't seen Chris Gillen's channel, it's definitely an interesting one. He's got a whole freezer full of dead animals such as cats, beavers, possums. I mean, you name it, he's got a freezer full of them. Sometimes he'll pull them out for some of his live videos and he'll have like a parade of animals sitting on the counter, just sitting there, dead. A little morbid, but worth it. Oh, dude, I just ran my leg through that juice from the raccoon. Alright, so, hey, looky, I got the ears. Alright, so we have Mr. Oh shoot, what's he called? Possum. Mr. Possum here. And man, if you guys could feel this, it is so crazy soft. I mean, if you've never thought about doing possum, you really should look into it. Now, I did not treat him very well. I basically skinned him and just chucked him on the floor because I was exhausted and didn't have time to get to him. So this is a solution of, oh, is that coming out? He's got hair coming out. Hopefully he holds. This is a solution of soapy water. We're going to stick him in there, and it's really cold outside, so I'm going to see if I can find something to kind of poke him with. So, I'm going to stick him in, swirl him around, and the idea is to basically break up the fat that is covering the pelt so that it takes the braining solution better. And then we're going to, I think, blow dry the back of the fur, and then we will tack him onto a little chunk of something like a board. Yes, I fully plan to hide him in the house somewhere and let him dry and flesh off the membrane, and then we'll go through and smear some brains on him again and work him again that way. He should only need one braining because he's such a thin hide, but we'll see. I've never done possum before, but I'm really excited. I might just put some more possum traps out and do a bunch of possum. Let's see if the blood came out. Not sure if I can get this blood out or not. This water's pretty cold. I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to take this for. Alright, so here he is. My camera cut off at some point. There's still some tiny little bullet holes in there, which we will sew up before we put him on a stretcher. Here's a bigger one. And that's why a lot of people don't actually shoot them. Eric says they club them, but I don't know. It's beautiful. I really like that. Alright, so we have the possum hide right here. It's already starting to fluff up. The skin is still lightly tacky, so it's perfect for salting. I stapled a shirt on the back here. It's an old shirt, something kids were going to donate to Goodwill. And I thought it was honestly going to be too big, but now that I'm kind of loosely stretching this out, it looks like it's just barely going to fit. So this chunk of styrofoam is probably just barely enough. Yeah, I mean, you can see some thin areas right here and right here. I honestly wasn't even going very hard over those areas. It's just that that particular spot on both sides is just a very thin spot. Anyway, so we do need to go through and sew up. There's a tiny hole there from the bullet, and there's actually 3 tiny holes here. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm guessing maybe the knife jumped right here and here, and that's a bullet hole. So those will all be super fast. Oh, there's another one right here. And another thin one right there. Just some very thin areas on the fur. So I'm actually not sure what to do about those because it is such a tiny little area. If I stitch it up, it might make it worse. I don't know. We'll give it a shot. This is an experiment. See, there's another area fur was coming out. It's on the leg, both sides. Yep. So you can see there's some fat up here still that I really wasn't able to get off. I'm going to take my knife and work the ear a little bit. Where did I do my knife? Oh, it's right here. My knife, because there's still a lot of flesh on the ear that I could not get off. And I did want to leave the ears on. I don't know why. I just felt like doing it with the ears on. So yeah, so there's the ear. So you do have to cut out the cartilage. And I was going to try and keep the little nose on them, but I wasn't able to get that off. So anyway, let's go through and sew them up. Now the nice thing about this is I can actually sit down and relax while I do this. This is just a very generalized needle and thread. I shouldn't have to punch holes through this because it should be pretty easy to do. Yeah, you can see like all this tissue up here needs to come off. I might accidentally cut the ears off, I'm not sure. But it's just trying to get the stuff off without damaging the fur. Alright, so we are going to finish off tanning the possum skin. I had it sitting out for, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 weeks drying, and I wasn't able to get to it and work on it as quick as I thought I was going to, and it actually ended up becoming too dry, and now it's really crispy, so it's really hard to kind of sand the membrane off. If there is a membrane, I'm not sure, but I'm just slightly going over it with some sandpaper just in case there is a membrane. I want my tanning solution, which would be the brains, to soak into this thing. I don't want to have to keep doing this. So it's a small hide. It should be easy, done, boom. Well, this is, I didn't buy this. This came with a tanning kit that I had. This is some really heavy duty grit sandpaper. It doesn't even say what grade it is. But you gotta be careful you don't go right through this hide because it is very thin. So I pretty much just kind of worked it over it like this. So let's go ahead and rinse this guy off and throw him in there. And I also have my pH strips, so we'll see what the pickle pH is going to be at. So this was only soaking for about 5 minutes, and it's pliable enough to pretty much pull the staples out. The ratio is 1 gallon of vinegar to 1 gallon of warm to hot water, and 2 pounds of salt. So this is canning and pickling salt. You need a fine grain salt. So we mixed it all in. Here's the hide. Swish it around. And you do want to make sure it stays fully submerged. I don't recommend like keeping your hand in here too long because it is highly acidic. And I did test the pH. And whoop, there's the pH strip. What did I do with my can? So looks like he's kind of changing closer to 3 now, but it was closest to 2 when I first took it. So you do want to keep track of the pH as you keep him submerged, and add a little bit more vinegar as you go. We do have some very hard well water, and the well water is going to have a much lower pH than your standard water. So you might need to add just a little extra vinegar to bump it up a bit. So keep them in there, put the lid on. And then you're going to stir him twice a day. And he's going to be in here for, 3 days? 3 to 5 days, pretty much. So, there you go. And we'll see how he turns out. So later tonight, we'll stir it again. Stir it twice a day. Flip it around, push it down. The deer hides, I do have to weight down with lids in a bucket. But I think this will be okay like that. So. After that, I went through and blow dried the fur because it was very wet on the back. You want to dry the fur portion as much as possible. The feet are still pretty wet. I should have gone through and wrung them out a little bit better. And then there's my brain solution. It's actually starting to dry already, so we're going to flip it again. And this is back on the board that I originally had it. Now, it's interesting to note all the different areas on here. I'm not sure if that is mold or just spots that are drying. Like all these little white spots on here. So let's see if I can get it re-centered. You do want to stretch it out several times again. And I have gone through and kind of stretched it, but I am noticing that some of the fur is kind of popping through in the back end right through here. It does seem fairly stretchy, so I think that tells me that my chemicals were pretty good. Okay, so we have our brain mixture, and actually this is the same mixture I used on my deer, and I had left it sitting in the barn, so it did get moldy, which is really awful to smell. However, it is still very usable because the tannins and the oils are all still there. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to recook it to kill the mold or I just put hot water on it to thin it down a little bit more. And I don't have any gloves because apparently there's no gloves in the house anymore. So I'm going to use a Ziploc bag. Yay! And this is actually a lot thinner than I would have liked to have seen, but yeah. So I'm trying to give this a go. I might come back with a little bit more brain and put this on here. So it's going to kind of that sort of thing and just kind of really get working this whole stuff in. Well, I guess I'm going to start in the center. I plan to only do 1 coat. It's a very thin hide. I don't think it's going to need 2 coats. These chunks are not chunks of brain. Well, maybe that one is. It's actually fur from the deer. And I think I'm going to have to go get some more brain. Don't tell Eric. Alright, so I pulled the plastic wrap off.
That smells weird.
You want to smell this? Yeah, Bob.
No.
I pulled the plastic wrap off the hide and let it air dry for about an hour, and then I took a little plastic scraper tool used for baking, and I just very gently scraped any extra residue off. I didn't squeegee the moisture out, I just scraped any chunky stuff off. Threw that away, let it air dry a couple more hours, and then just, I don't know, like every hour or so, just I've been going through and pulling it in every direction like this. I should show you. Stop.
Why?
That's weird. Like this. And just continue pulling it. I wasn't really working hardcore on it. I blow dried it a little bit. You do want to make sure to blow dry the fur parts in case there's any extra moisture in there still. And then I blow dried this very gently just to help pull out some of the moisture. And it has been me see, it's 8 o'clock now. So this has been out for almost 12 hours, not quite.
Not very,
it's been cool in here. I haven't had a fan on it, so just for general purposes, and this is a very thin hide. So I have a chunk of PVC, a very thick chunk, and the edges are actually fairly sharp. I was using this to scrape my hides on, but it wasn't quite big enough. But the edge is sharp enough on this that it works well for breaking it out. If you have a metal cable, that works too. So it's kind of interesting because when you really get it going, you work it really good, it starts to get really fluffy. You do, of course, want to be careful you don't punch a hole through it. So while you are being rough, you're being gentle. So you just want to pull it both directions, make sure you really get those fibers broken. If it feels a little papery, a little crunchy, if you have a spray bottle, you can very gently mist a little bit of water onto it and just let it sit for a few minutes and then work it again.
Oh my voice.
And this is why my hair looks like a possum, because I've had a little possum kid on the back of me all day. Well, not all day, all evening. Look, feel how soft it is. Come here, Bob. I made you a blankie. You want a blankie? Don't step on that, that'll break. Anyway, you can see how fluffy it's already getting just from working it. I have not brushed it at all. Some parts on the sides are beginning to dry pretty quick too. When you're pulling it, make sure you don't tuck it under an accident, which will shred your hair out. Make sure everything's flat. And just grab it and start working it. If you have any other suggestions for something you could work a hide over, put it in the comments down below. Like, here's this little possum ear. It's so cute. I got a couple little whiskers over here. See that? I was trying to get like the whole front face, but I wasn't able to. So anyway, if it's to the point where it's drying pretty steadily and you don't want it to dry too much more, fold it in half and set it aside. It will still dry, but not quite as violently. Alright guys, so real quick I'll show you what the final product looked like for the possum. It came out a lot better than I was expecting. Alright, so here is the possum fur. Let's get a beautiful coat to it. His ears did shrink up a lot more, and I probably should have focused on trying to keep them upright before they fully dried. I think something sat on it and they got mushed down a little bit. Overall, he's got a little bit of crinkle. Listen. If we flip him over, you can see where he kind of wrinkles up a little bit. And I don't think my chemicals were 100% correct. I think my pickle needed more salt in it because I just kind of dumped some in. I didn't exactly measure it. And I think the brains, at least the first solution of brains, should have been a lot thicker. But because I was running low on brains at the time and I couldn't get any new ones, I just kind of had to make do. You can see this center here is definitely still a little bit more crispy. Listen. I'm not sure exactly how soft a fur will get. Put it in the comments down below if you're familiar with how soft furs get. But I mean, this is, in all purposes, usable for making clothing out of. It's just not quite to buckskin level, but it came out a lot better than I was hoping. So overall, I would say it was a success. I just need to tweak my chemicals a little bit better as far as making sure I have my ratios down pat. And overall, I'm really happy with possum. So instead of throwing those critters away, give them a try and give them a brain tan. Put in the comments down below if you try it out and how it came out for you. Until next time, guys, take care.